Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of Checks and Balances TV. I'm your host, Matthew J. Rettick, and I'm committed to giving you the truth you need to financially succeed. Each week, we'll review the news, check the facts, and provide balanced insight and unbiased advice to help you make critical financial decisions. So let's get up, get energized, and get going, and see how today's headlines impact your financial future. It's no secret that America is greatly underprepared for retirement. According to a recent study by the Employee Benefit Research Institute, it's estimated that the retirement income deficit in America is $4.6 trillion. On average, U.S. workers would need to have an additional $48,000 on hand when they retire at age 65 to ensure that they do not run out of money in retirement. If you remove Social Security benefits from the equation, the same workers would be about $90,000 short for retirement and could potentially outlive their retirement savings. The federal government announced last month that the more than 58 million people receiving Social Security benefits will not receive COLA, or a cost of living adjustment, for the second year in a row. This is due to the fact that since 2008 there has been no increase in the Consumer Price Index. The Consumer Price Index, or CPI, otherwise known as the inflation gauge, is used to determine the increase or decrease in the price of goods or services paid by a consumer. The last Social Security increase was 5.4% and took effect in January of 2009. Okay, so what's really going on here? Let's check the facts using our checks and balances process. There is a retirement readiness crisis in America today. Many of the 78 million baby boomers transitioning into retirement over the next 20 years are going to have their share of financial problems. As the Employee Benefit Research Institute found in its report, many Americans are going to be well short financially in retirement. If Social Security benefits were no longer offered, the research group estimates that the retirement shortfall would nearly double. This deficit will impact money needed to cover basic expenses only, by the way, such as food, shelter, and health care expenses. This does not include any money needed for hobbies you may want to pursue in retirement, such as travel, golf, or gardening, or to cover any other unexpected expenses. And an often overlooked added expense for retirement, and a growing concern today, is the rising cost of health care. As it currently stands, a couple retiring today needs to plan on an additional $250,000 to cover out-of-pocket medical expenses during the course of their retirement. Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke reported last month that one of our country's greatest fiscal challenges is the baby boomer generation retiring. As the health care needs of the aging population increase, so will the overall costs. As a result, out-of-pocket expenses may be considerably higher as well. So exactly what is a retiree to do? Well, this is what's happening. Many have been forced to continue working. As an example, in 1998, 11.9% of workers 65 and older remained in the workforce. In 2008, it was 16.8%. And this year, 18% say they'll continue to work. And by 2018, the Bureau of Labor Statistics projects that 22% of older workers will continue to clock in each day. This group is being dubbed the never-tirees, as the likelihood of them ever retiring is decreasing. The cost of living adjustment, or COLA as it's known, for Social Security recipients will not automatically increase in 2011. And this is the second year in a row that their monthly income will remain the same due to minimal inflation and, in some months, deflation, which has caused the cost of living to drop. Social Security increases for retirees are based on the rise in living costs from the current third quarter, being July, August, and September, when compared to the third quarter of the previous year. There was no increase in the Consumer Price Index from the third quarter of 2009 to the third quarter of 2010. Therefore, this is the second year in a row that under existing law, there will be no COLA increase in 2011. Okay, let me share some brief history here. Congress enacted the COLA provision as part of the 1972 Social Security amendments. At that time, inflation was relatively high. So the provision provided for an automatic increase if the CPI was at least 3%. And the first COLA took effect in 1975. And by the mid-'80s, though, inflation began to decline, so Congress eliminated this 3% trigger. Since its introduction, there has been an annual increase in Social Security benefits every single year until this year. This move by the federal government, or lack of movement, impacts more than a fifth of the country's population. So you may be asking yourself, okay, Matt, what does this really all mean to me? Well, now that we've checked the facts, let's balance this information using our checks and balances process to determine what action you should take today. Everyone needs to decide in advance what they want from their golden years. Not only will you need money saved for basic needs, but also the costs to achieve your desired retirement lifestyle. How much money do you want each year for travel and leisure? Have you considered the cost for rising health care and premium expenses? What about emergencies and catastrophic care? Combine these expenses with your potential longevity, which could be 20 to 30 years or more, and then add in inflation. Now you may have a clearer idea of what you really need to retire financially independent. Remember, financial independence can only come when you have the ability to handle the expected as well as the unexpected expenses that retirement can bring. To add insult to injury, a dated law has determined that there will be no increase in monthly income for millions of retirees at a time when they most likely need it the most. Trillions of dollars have been lost in retirement accounts over the last 3 years in the stock market. Home values have plummeted, and healthcare expenses are on the rise. In some cases, this anticipated monthly increase has already been spoken for, putting the retiree even further in the proverbial hole and adding to their retirement deficit. As we're all learning, what can be given by the government can just as easily be taken away, and there really isn't much the American consumer can do about it. Okay. So what's the bottom line here? First of all, to be financially independent in retirement means to not be dependent upon any other person, employer, or institution. And if you do not count on government benefits such as Social Security, you will be on your way to building your own financial independence in retirement. Now here are my 5 keys to becoming financially independent. Number 1, spend less than you make. We've all heard that before, but you need to do it. Create a budget and track every expense every single month. Number 2, pay yourself first. Every check that you receive, whether it's weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, save 10 to 15% of your net income for retirement. Number 3, follow the rule of 100 when investing your hard-earned money, which I covered previously in our inaugural show, and you'll find it in my free report, Financial Freedom Wake-Up Call. Number 4, find a true financial advisor to work with. Someone who can offer you the entire universe of investment options and not someone who only wants to sell you a product. And number 5, pay off all of your debts. Stop being slave to the lender. No one becomes wealthy through having debt. Free your mind and emotions of the weight of debt, at least by retirement. In this week's CBTV poll, we asked Americans an important question. How much money do you think you'll need to be able to retire comfortably? 32% of you said that you need a couple of $100,000 saved, plus Social Security and a pension to be able to retire comfortably. Well, when planning for a retirement that could be 20 to 30 years long, the possibility of future inflation, rising taxes, healthcare costs, and anything else that could come along during that time period, you probably need to set your target savings amount a bit higher. In our On the Street segment, we travel the country to ask Americans what they think about an important financial topic or issue. For this week's segment, we ask people what being financially independent means to them. Let's take a look and see what America had to say. Well, let me ask you about financial independence. What is your idea of being financially independent? What does that mean to you?
Not to have to worry about going to work every day or where the next paycheck is coming from.
And do you feel that you can achieve that one day in the future yourself?
I hope so, but I'm not confident.
And what sources of income, monthly or annual income, do you think that you can depend on in retirement?
Probably what I've put away.
So I didn't hear you say Social Security.
I'm not counting on it.
I didn't hear you say a company pension.
No.
So really, you're taking that into your own hands and in your own control.
Trying to, yes.
Kind of reminds me of the old 8 great words: if it's to be, it's up to
me.
Well, let me ask you some questions about being financially independent. What is your idea of financial independence?
Not owing any money.
Being debt-free, number 1. Anything else?
I don't know. Ask her. Being able to take care of yourself and not having to depend on somebody else for your income.
That's a pretty good strategy, being debt-free and not dependent on anybody else for income or for living purposes. I like what the two women in that interview had to say. Not being dependent on anyone else for your income and being debt-free. It's a great goal to strive for. And now for Matt's weekly tip, tool, or technique. Take the necessary action to become financially independent in retirement. If you have time on your side, consider investments that offer compounding interest. Albert Einstein himself called the miracle of compounding interest the eighth wonder of the world, because you're earning interest in three ways. First of all, you're earning interest on your principal. Second, you're earning interest on your interest. And third, you're earning interest on the amount of money you normally have to send to Uncle Sam every year in taxes. Examples of accounts that offer this miracle of compounding interest are tax-deferred investment options, including employer-sponsored retirement plans, IRAs, and most annuities. Now is the time to realize that neither the federal government nor your employer is responsible for your financial success or failure in life. You are. And no one will ever really care as much about your financial well-being as you do. Make sure you commit to paying yourself first every single week, and then work towards financial independence in retirement every day. Financial freedom can be yours if you make it happen. Mark your calendars for the next installment of our Truth About series. This upcoming episode will air late November and is on the Truth About annuities. You will learn the pros and cons, both sides of the coin on this important financial product, so you'll know if it's the right investment for you. And be sure to friend our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel to gain exclusive access to our library of viral videos and the lighter side of finance. For more information on how to become a checks and balances savvy consumer and to download any of our free reports, visit the download section of our website. Also, be sure to get your copy of the Financial Freedom Wake-Up Call, a free report that teaches you how to plan for, save consistently, and invest wisely for a secure financial future. And while you're on the site, remember your voice counts. Be sure to take this week's poll and visit our Tell Us What You Think section to share your opinion. Make your voice heard. And finally, remember that only you can control your financial future. You can succeed. You just need confidence and determination. I'm Matthew J. Rettick from Checks and Balances TV. Be sure to join us next week when we'll discuss to Roth or not to Roth your IRA.